Julian Assange being held captive for 2 years in the Ecuadorian Embassy in London. He's now doing a press conference. Let's listen in and see what he has to say.
Proposed by, led by the Minister David Brink. So I am thankful that the United Kingdom is standing up for its long-held values of due process, that there must be formal charges against a person before their liberty is deprived from them. And that Ecuador, together with the support of a number of Latin American states and human rights groups here in the United Kingdom, have protected my rights while this change in law has occurred. But it has now occurred, and there is that those changes have now reached fruition and are now law in this country. And because there has been very significant misreporting on this case and the asylum standoff, partly because it is so complex, but partly also, unfortunately, because there are large stakes for the resolution of the situation. The prestige of multiple countries and organizations is involved. And that has led to sometimes, unfortunately, misreporting, unprofessional reporting. So, first of all, I have not been charged with an offence here in the United Kingdom or in Sweden at any time, like you. Secondly, the basis under which my asylum was granted here is the ongoing US investigation into me and WikiLeaks. That investigation, led by the US Department of Justice, described by the United States in its own internal documents and by the Australian government as a whole of government investigation. This investigation that involves a dozen different police agencies. It has now been going more than 4.5 years. And the last update in relation to that investigation was the 25th of April, where the Department of Justice formally filed the US Federal Court. It is continuing. It is not in relation to Jules Manning directly. Rather, it is in relation to the founders, managers of WikiLeaks. And its purpose is to pursue a prosecution. These are simple, important contextual facts that should never be removed from any reportage about the situation. Additionally, it is often falsely reported that women in Sweden have accused me of the serious crime of rape. That is false. No woman has done so. In fact, the women in Sweden explicitly deny having done that. And in the submissions to the Supreme Court of this country, in the agreed statement of facts, the Swedish government admits to that fact. So please, there should be no reportage saying women accusing me of something. This is a situation which is being seized upon at the time of the publications, at the time of the greatest conflict between me and the United States. And the Swedish government resurrected a matter that had been previously dropped and pursued aggressively. One can speculate about what kind of prestige motivations there may have been to do that, or political pressure, but it is not a simple matter to describe. Since I have not been charged in that country in any form. Now, in relation to the recent developments, it is not just now sections of the British Parliament that are saying that there should be changes. In June, 59 legal and human rights organisations made a submission, a formal submission, in relation to the legal and diplomatic abuses that occurred in this situation against the Swedish government. Those a range of organisations, from the American Association of Jurists to even two Swedish legal organisations, the National Lawyers Guild of America. On June 19, 54 organisations, including Human Rights Watch, the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, the Center for Constitutional Rights of the United States, wrote to the US Attorney General and said it is time to drop the aggressive investigation by the US Department of Justice into me and also into my staff. That this investigation puts all publishers and all journalists at risk. So far, there has been no act from the US Department of Justice. But one can speculate about what legacy the Obama administration is leaving itself in pursuing an investigation like this for more than 4.5 years, producing, according to the FBI, a file now of more than 42,000 pages for its prosecution. Okay, so with that I think we should open up to questions because the Minister does not have much time.
Julian, can you
identify yourself first, please? Se identifican a periodistas, por favor.
Julian Brett from Australian Associated Press.
Soy de Australian Associated Press.
This morning,
Ese informe
considering surrendering a self-elected guy's term, and that's due to ongoing heart conditions, lung conditions, and also chronic high blood pressure.
I understand.
We're taking 3 questions.
Oh, 3 questions.
Sí, que es una ronda de 3 preguntas de 3 periodistas. Identify.
My name is Parvati Menon and I work for an Indian newspaper called
Con indio, de Hindu. Y tengo una pregunta para
on what we can expect as you know your strategy in building up a case for Mr. Assange's freedom, specifically with respect to building support amongst other countries in international fora on this case, the United Nations, for example.
One other question.
Alan Jones, Press Association. Can I just ask the Minister if it's possible that the Ecuadorian government will consider some kind of legal action as a result of the changes?
plaza la posibilidad de medidas legales.
So to answer A and B first. Well, I understand Kristen Paxton over here, WikiLeaks spokesperson, the most highly decorated journalist in Iceland, has said that he can confirm that I am leaving the embassy soon. But perhaps not for the reasons that the Murdoch press and Sky News are saying at the moment.
Could you clarify that?
I think there is nothing.
Let's read the See you.
On your health, do you want to say something about your health?
Bien. Respecto a lo que deberíamos esperar como una estrategia del gobierno ecuatoriano ante la comunidad de la comunidad internacional.
As regards the Ecuadorian government's strategy vis-à-vis the international community,
Nosotros esperamos que haya una reacción. Ya es mucho tiempo que Julian Assange está dentro de nuestra embajada en contra de su voluntad y esperando un salvoconducto.
well, we're hoping for a reaction soon because Julian Assange has been here at our embassy premises for a long time, too long, waiting for safe passage.
Y creemos que es tiempo que la comunidad internacional, como lo ha hecho, pero todavía no lo ha hecho con la suficiente fuerza, coordine los esfuerzos para que sean respetados no solamente los derechos humanos de Julian Assange, sino también la legislación internacional respecto a esta temática del asilo.
Well, we believe that the international community should, as it has done, but not sufficiently, should coordinate its efforts to make sure that Julian Assange's human rights are respected, but not only that, that international legislation in this matter is actually complied with.
Entre todos esos derechos humanos, el derecho a la libertad de expresión.
And of all the human rights, the right to freedom of expression
Y el derecho de los seres humanos a denunciar los delitos que los estados pudieran cometer.
and to denounce crimes committed by states
Son temas demasiado importantes como para que no logren todavía una respuesta contundente, decidida, masiva de la comunidad internacional y particularmente de los periodistas.
They're simply too important matters to leave without a decisive, a large-scale and a firm response by the international community and journalists.
Nosotros seguiremos trabajando en la búsqueda de soluciones amistosas, diplomáticas con los gobiernos que están involucrados en esto y también con la comunidad internacional y con los organismos internacionales.
We will be continuing our work to find a friendly and diplomatic solution with the governments directly involved, but also the international community and international bodies.
Respecto a la última pregunta, ¿qué implicaciones tendrían los cambios o las reformas legales respecto a estos temas en Gran Bretaña.
And on the final question on the legal implications of the recent changes in the legal framework here in the UK.
Yo buscaré en las próximas semanas el tiempo que podamos tener adecuadamente, tanto el secretario de Exteriores británico como el espacio de tiempo que yo tenga en mi agenda para que podamos reunirnos y conversar sobre este tema. Creemos que las reformas que se han producido generan un mejor ambiente para que podamos desarrollar nosotros nuestras conversaciones.
Over the coming weeks, I will be looking to try to set up a meeting with the UK Foreign Secretary. We'll try to get our agendas together, and we believe that the recent reforms do create a better climate for us to reach an agreement.
That was justice. She was answered as well.
Yes.
Yes, I'm from the Swedish media. I seem to be a complete deadlock when it comes to the investigation. What can you do to change that?
We are not aware of Twitter.
Go ahead.
Hi. Listen, I
Can you identify?
it's Raphael Satter with the AP. Julian, I was curious about your response to my AAP colleague's question. I either didn't understand it, or you're being deliberately obscure, or can you either repeat it or try and clarify it? You said something about Tristan and the Murdoch media. I'm sorry. It's utterly confusing.
Could you identify? Oh, sorry, calling from Martine. What are people talking about your health and your heart condition and lungs? Could you clarify anything to do with that? And also, is the priority now is it looking more likely? What are you banking on more? Overturning or changing the extradition request, or just securing safe passage to Ecuador? What's more pressing concern?
Thank you. Raphael, in relation to my health, as you can imagine, being detained in various ways in this country for 4 years, and now in this embassy, which is, and as you can imagine, being detained in various ways in this country without charge for 4 years, and in this embassy for 2 years, which has no outside area, and therefore no sunlight, as a result of the obstruction that is presently in place by the UK, at an admitted leasing cost of more than £6.5 million. In fact, the latest estimate is £7 million now. It is an environment in which any healthy person would find themselves soon enough with certain difficulties they would have to manage. The United Nations minimum standard for prisoners,
Mínimas para
and I remind you
prisioneros.
of the charge, is 1 hour a day of outside exercise or outside work. And even when I was in prison in solitary confinement, in Wandsworth prison of the United Kingdom, that was respected. The question about safe passage versus extradition is partly a question for Ecuador, but in a situation like this, which has many different which has the United States involved, Australia involved, the UK involved, Sweden involved,
Unido.
multiple different cases. Of course, you must pursue all these matters simultaneously. And I haven't mentioned it before, and perhaps it hasn't been known outside of the Danish press just recently, that we have filed a criminal complaint against the FBI's activities in Europe on European soil, illegally done against me, paying bribes to informers, flying them to Denmark in order to pay them bribes, cash bribes, in relation to this organisation. We filed similar cases earlier on in the year in Sweden and also in Germany in relation to illicit intelligence activities conducted there by the United States government into trying to stop or monitor our publications or to bring about a prosecution in the case of the FBI illicitly collecting evidence.
Conseguir procesar al FBI por intentar obtener información de forma ilícita a través de sobornos.
I'm sorry, I didn't finish. We're not done. The minister has to respond. No, I didn't. Okay, this is the last round.
You didn't answer the letter.
I'm sorry. What can I do to bring that up? It is correct. There has been no movement at all in this Swedish investigation that is used as the technical excuse to obstruct now for more than 2 years Ecuador's sovereign decision to grant political asylum after a formal assessment, that a right that all countries have. I have for 4 years asked the Swedish government to come to this country, as they do in other investigations, pre-charge, preliminary investigations. The Ecuadorian government has offered its cooperation at this embassy for any questions that the Swedish government wishes to pursue. I offered, I said, if the Swedish government will guarantee I will not be extradited to the United States, then I'll go to Sweden. That was rebuffed. Ecuador made similar requests at a state level, which is done very commonly in extradition cases, to put conditions on the nature of the extradition. That was rebuffed. Combined with statements that under Swedish law there is an obligation to proceed with an investigation at maximum speed, at minimum cost, and the cost of the United Kingdom is now in excess of £7 million, and with minimum suspicion being placed on the person who's been investigated. But this Swedish government decided to violate its own laws and agreed that there was a preliminary investigation to right-wing media in Sweden, which was then pushed all over the world.
You can't do anything more. That's what it said.
My legal team and I have tried all sorts of things to progress. There's no obligation on someone who's accused to assist in any way whatsoever, but nonetheless, I have 4 years. My lawyers have, and the Ecuadorian government has. The only people being reasonable in this situation and trying to solve a difficult problem which involves a lot of prestige for the Swedish government, which has painted itself in the corner of this, is fighting and Ecuador. The US government has also been completely intransigent. It has also been asked to drop the investigation. It's refused to do so.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, we have no more time. If the minister has palabra cualquiera del ministro va a segundo y ya tenemos que.
Quería hacer referencia a esto último que se ha preguntado.
I wanted to touch on this last question.
Según la legislación sueca, y esto es explícito en las normas jurídicas de Suecia, se establece que el sistema judicial, la fiscalía particularmente, tiene la posibilidad.
It's RT International live from Moscow. Thanks for joining us. You're watching a live feed there from right inside the Ecuadorian Embassy in London. Julian Assange, perhaps the world's chief whistleblower, known to everybody, holding a press conference saying the big headline is that Julian Assange is preparing to leave the Ecuadorian Embassy. That's all we can say regarding when or how. Assange taking a moment, though, to refute any rape allegations by officials in Stockholm. Also, Mr. Assange saying what kind of legacy does the Obama administration leave by this investigation that's been going on for more than 4 years? Well, many more details on this. We'll continue to follow it live at rt.com. For the meantime, we're back in just a sec.